Hello, I am Darryl Howerton, and welcome to Women's Sports Cards, episode number 12. This one is titled 10 Goats from the Summer Olympic Sports. Today we're going to talk about the GOATs, the greatest of all-time athletes in each sport. We're going to try to confine it to one per sport, and we're picking the 10 most popular Olympic sports. These aren't necessarily current athletes, we're looking at all-time greats, but it just so happens that 3 of the 10 that we picked are current Olympians you'll see next week at the Tokyo Olympics. So without further ado, let's go to the GOATs. First up is this young woman right here, 24-year-old gymnast Simone Biles, who has won 4 Olympic golds and 19 world gold medals. She won the 4 golds at the 26 Olympics in Rio, which made her the greatest of all time. Even Nadia Comaneci, the previous greatest of all time, even she acknowledged that Simone has surpassed her on the all-time level. So we have to hand it to Simone, who's made this 2014 SI for Kids card in PSA 9 form, 10 form, worth thousands of dollars. It's really skyrocketing up there, although the price is being neutralized lately because everybody's getting this card graded. So as it rises, it also declines, and no matter what, it's worth thousands of dollars. I just don't know if it's worth 1, 2, or 3 in PSA 10 form. That being said, next up on the list is another GOAT, this one from the sport of swimming. Michael Phelps calls her the greatest in women's swimming history, and she's also only 24 years old, very young. That's Kerri Ledecky, and this is her 2013 SI for Kids card. Tracy Calkins was probably the greatest swimmer of the 20th century, but Kerri Ledecky has already surpassed her gold medal count with what she did at the 2012 and 2016 Olympics. Kerri won 5 golds. She's also won 15 gold medals on the world scene, and she has 3 world records right now in the 400, the 800, and the 1500, making her the swimming GOAT at a young age. Next up is 39-year-old guard from the WNBA, Diana Taurasi, who we've spotlighted a lot this week with her role in Space Jam the movie, where she plays White Mamba, a snake-like character who's a villain to LeBron James' hero in the movie Space Jam, which was the #1 movie this weekend. Congratulations, LeBron. Congratulations, Diana. Now Diana goes from the movies to the Olympics, where she will try to win her 5th gold medal for Team USA. She's already won 3 World Cup gold medals, not to mention all her league championships as a 3-time WNBA champion, a 3-time NC2A champion at UConn, and a 6-time EuroLeague champion when she played overseas professionally. She is the WNBA's all-time leading scorer, so you're not going to get any argument when you call her a GOAT. Granted, she did have competition for the 20 to 2009 Player of the Decade battle between Lisa Leslie and Lauren Jackson, and then from 2010 to 2019, also competition from Candace Parker as the greatest of the decade there. But when you look over the 2 decades and how she was dominant in both decades, nobody can compete with that. That's what makes Diana Taurasi the GOAT. Next up, it's a very popular card we've been spotlighting lately here at Women's Sports Cards, and that would be the 1992 Sports Illustrated for Kids rookie card of Mia Hamm, which broke all genre records 3 weeks ago when it sold for $34,440 in PSA 10 form. That, of course, has been the topic of conversation everywhere, so it shouldn't be a surprise when we call her a GOAT. There will be a lot of people in South America who may argue that Marta, the 35-year-old professional who's still playing in the NWSL, that she deserves it for all her dominance on the FIFA level. There was a time when she won the FIFA Player of the Year from 2006 to 2010, 5 years in a row, and she won 6 of those total. But Mia Hamm also had a long span of greatness, leading USA to numerous gold medals that nobody can touch. When you look at what she did at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta or the 2004 Olympics in Athens, not to mention the gold medal scene at the World Cups in 1991 and 1999. I think all of that, plus the fact that she retired as a leading scorer on the international scene, established Mia Hamm as the true GOAT of her time and USA Soccer's Michael Jordan of her sport. Next up on the list is probably the most valuable card in the women's sports card market. Every time the Mia Hamm card sells for a record level, the Serena Williams card seems to double it in the coming weeks to come. So we'll see if this 1999 SI for Kids rookie card of Serena Williams does just that, if it can eclipse Mia's $35,000 mark. But that being said, in the meantime, we'll just christen her as the obvious, the GOAT of her sport, probably the GOAT of all sports. Steffi Graf, as great as she was and deserving as she was of GOAT status, cannot compete with the light that Serena Williams has shown on the sport. Not just as a Grand Slam winner, 23 Grand Slams, the most in the Open era, not only for her Olympic greatness, where she won 4 gold medals and is choosing not to compete this year, finally contemplating retirement in the time to come, but also she's won more money than any athlete ever when it comes to female sports. She's on her way probably to becoming a billionaire, and she's just getting started with her career, and she's already had a historic one as a tennis player. Next up on the list is what I would call the greatest track and field athlete of all time, but you might want to put an asterisk next to that because Babe Didrikson, a great athlete from the 30s and 40s, in the 20th century, she excelled at numerous sports, most specifically track and field and golf. But she really dominated everything that she touched, from softball to swimming to tennis. But when it came to track and field, Babe Didrikson won a couple gold medals. But if you just concentrate on the sport specifically, Jackie Joyner-Kersee was probably the greatest track and field athlete of all time. If you look at what the accomplishments she had there in the heptathlon and long jump, in 4 different Olympics she competed. She won 3 gold, 1 silver, 2 bronze. She also had 4 world gold medals, 4 Goodwill Games gold medals. She truly was a GOAT of that genre. And when you look at all the greatest list of athletes in the 20th century, everyone either picks Jackie Joyner-Kersee or Babe Didrikson as 1 and 2. And again, Babe, part of the reason she is considered the greatest of all time in all athletes is what she did in numerous sports. So if we're focusing on one sport, Jackie Joyner-Kersee. But that being said, Babe Didrikson may be the greatest female athlete of all time. So keep that in mind. That's why I put the asterisks. Oh, by the way, this is a 1989 SI for Kids rookie card. Next on the list is Kerri Walsh-Jennings from beach volleyball fame. I need to get this card graded, so excuse that there's no slab. You could pick her or Misty May Trainer, her partner on the beach volleyball scene. Either one of them could be the GOATs when it comes to beach volleyball. When you think about it, they won 3 gold medals. They established beach volleyball as a sport. It wasn't an Olympic sport until they came on the scene, so they are the standard. They won 3 gold medals together. Misty May Trainer retired, and then Kerri went out and won another, what was it? I think it was a bronze medal. Or do I have it in my notes? No, I don't have any notes here. So basically, I think it was a bronze medal with April Ross in the 2016 Olympics. So that's why I give Kerri the edge. Although Misty, you can make an argument, they're 1A and 1B when it comes to GOAT status. Next up on the list is the greatest volleyball player ever. And I'm going to go with Sheilla Castro on this one, from Brazil. This is her Topps 2021 volleyball card. When it came out, when she was in the Athletes United season that just took place this year, you have to be really, really impressed with that, because she was a 38-year-old then, and this is a young woman who dominated her sport as a teen. So she's been around forever, dominating forever. She won 2 Olympic gold medals for Brazil, dozens more on the various international platforms that she played on. She's just dominant. The only other person who you could make an argument for is the greatest volleyball player of the 20th century, Taurasi, who won 3 gold medals for Cuba and was just as dominant in her century. So I'm going with Sheilla Castro because she had more on the pro scene, but either one of those would be a fine pick. Next up is the sport of golf. And here we're going with Sweden's own Annika Sorenstam in this 1996 SI for Kids rookie card. Annika, she was the LPGA Player of the Year, has won more money on the LPGA scene more than anybody else, and she really did all that without, competing a lot less than her peers. So she has more winnings, more everything in less time. So you have to be impressed with that. Again, we'll put an asterisk next to this one because Babe Dietrichson, she really came along at the beginning of the sport, helped establish the LPGA, and also was one of the first Hall of Famers in the sport. She won 10 PGA majors, and had she concentrated on golf only, she very well could be the GOAT. And of course, we already talked about her all-around status in track and field and the other sports. So again, Babe has fellow GOAT status here in golf, but we're giving this title to Annika. And last but not least, we're going to go with softball and the USA pitcher, Jennie Finch, who Time called the most famous softball player ever, and she also has a resume to back it up with the 2004 gold medal, 2008 silver. ESPN made a list of the NC2A greatest softball players ever, and she was the right-handed pitcher. Mind you, the left-handed pitcher was Kat Osterman, who we'll see in the Olympics this year. So she's still adding to her resume and may one day surpass Jennie Finch as the GOAT. But right now, I'm still going to go with Jennie Finch because not only did she have the NC2A status, the USA Olympic status, where she dominated her sport when it was, just put in as an Olympic sport, but she also, on the pro scene in the National Pro Fast Pitch League, pitching for the Chicago Bandits, she has records now that still stand, both in earned run average and WHIP. So she dominated on all three scenes, the worldwide scene, the NC2A scene, and of course when pro leagues in America. So got to hand it up to Jennie Finch, the greatest softball player in my humble opinion. That being said, I hope you liked it. I hope you subscribe. I hope you share. And that's the list of my GOATs. Thank you for watching. God bless.